In this video, we will demonstrate the Archive solution for D365. The solution allows documents generated through electronic reporting to be automatically collected, processed, and archived to SharePoint. In this example, we will use the sales invoice scenario to show the most important settings. First, we start with the general Archive interface parameters. For this, we should navigate to the System Administration module, Setup, Archive Interface Parameters. The settings define the global behavior of the archiving process. Here, we can define the default document type, define the retry count for failed upload attempts, and control whether already processed documents can be archived again. The default document type defines the default document type of attachment for the archiving task. The retry count determines how many times the system should attempt to upload a document again if the previous archiving attempt failed. For our current setup, we can see 4 times as a retry count. And allow archive processed documents option controls where documents that have already been successfully processed can be archived again. The next form is the archive document types. We should navigate again to the System Administration Setup Archive document types. This form is used to define which document types can be archived and where they should be stored. For our example, we use the customer invoice document type. In the general section, the provider type is set to the SharePoint, and the provider endpoint contains a path to the SharePoint folder where the sales invoices will be archived. In the same form, we also define how the system handles archive document metadata when one or more configured field display method values cannot be found or processed in D365. So as you can see, we have here 3 options. In the setup section, we enable Save to Attachments option. This means that the printed document will be attached to the related record during report generation. If required, we also activate Filter Outbound Documents. This allows us to control which generated documents are included in the archive task process. So if we also now click Filter, we will see that we have now filter on the customer account field. The archive document metadata connects metadata fields in SharePoint with values from D365. In this example, we use the SharePoint column invoice account and map it to the corresponding invoice account field from the customer invoice. After the mapping is completed, we can validate our line and we see that the checkbox is valid activated, meaning that the setup is done correctly. After finishing the setup, we are ready to activate our document type so it becomes available for the use in the archiving process. So we are clicking the Activate button and our customer invoice document type becomes available for the archiving process. The next important setup is the electronic reporting destination. We should move to the Organization Administration, Electronic reporting destination. We have here our sales invoice setup. Once the Archive solution has been installed, the Archive appears as a new print destination option in the destination settings. This setup connects the format with the Archive archiving process. So for the selected sales invoice format, we open now our destination settings and we enable our archive destination. The type field defines which archive document type should be used for the archiving. So we have our electronic reporting destination setup done and enabled. So we can click OK. And now our setup is ready and we can move to the process itself. We now move to the accounts receivable, all sales orders. We create our new sales order. We insert our customer account, click OK. We add our item number, save, and we're ready to generate the invoice. When the invoice will be posted and the YARP output is generated, the system will automatically create a new record in the archiving tasks form. So as you can see, our invoice is generated successfully. So now we are ready to move to another form to check our generated invoice. We move to the system administration, inquiries, archiving tasks. Here we can see all the documents that are part of the archiving process. We can review the task by the document type, by the document ID, by the archiving status, and also some additional columns. On the right side of the form, we can see additional details. On the Preview tab, we can see the generated document itself. On the Document Properties values, we can see the metadata values that will be written to the SharePoint, such as the invoice account for our case. And the archiving execution history shows the processing history of our document. So as you can see, we now have the status of our invoice is ready for upload. To process the invoice manually, we now click the Process Documents button and we now click OK. In this moment, the system will send the document to the configured SharePoint folder. For the automatic processing, you can use the periodic task. So as we can see, the system has changed the status from ready to upload to the archived. That means that we can now move to the SharePoint, open our folder, and check whether the sales invoice has been archived here. So if we move down, we can see our new sales invoice archived with the correct sales invoice number. And we can also see that the invoice account is filled in, meaning that the metadata has been filled in properly. So we successfully set up our archiving process and we have successfully archived our sales invoice in the SharePoint folder.